you that the court system provides better treatment than our current health care. I would suggest you feel somewhat like me. I feel a little bit shocked, and I hope that you are. I want you to see here, does everybody here know what Brighton Center for Recovery is? It's one of the most well-known, highly valued, highly placed among rehabs across the nation. If anybody here has heard of it, then that is awesome. But this is all that I received upon departing from Brighton. A simple letter that said I was there for 10 days' time. I also would like to point out, this is a state-funded rehab. This is Sacred Heart. It is one that is definitely state-funded more than anything. And all they had to say was, hey, this is what we do, this is what we did, this is what she's gonna do, goodbye. And that is what I received here. I actually went to this rehab here to be placed in recovery home housing because I was no longer allowed to be back at home. And it turned out that the recovery and housing that they had to offer was $1,700 a month. Does anyone in here pay rent that high? I really hope not. You need to find someplace else to go. You do. So this is what I'd like to show you. This is what I received when I completed Sobriety Court through the 33rd District program that they offer. And this was the long list of achievements that they outlined for me. And I received 5 of these through my time there, through each phase. So I'm here to talk to you about substance abuse treatment being available for everybody. And according to the untreated website that I had followed, currently only 1 in every 10 Americans over the age of 12 are currently struggling with drug addiction. However, less than 11% of these people receive the care and support that they need. I want to show you here, this is a bill that I got from Brighton. I was only allowed to be there for 10 days. If I had stayed there for 30 days, which by the way is not covered, it was not covered underneath Aetna, which is one of the highest insurance companies there were at that time. This would end up costing me $20,000 for 30 days. Meanwhile, I was denied treatment through them 3 different times. I had gone there, I had my things packed, and they told me to go back home. So I say all that to let you know that it is serious, that only under 11% of people actually have access to treatment. And according to my survey, every single person in this room knows about the drug epidemic that's currently in the U.S. Meanwhile, only 4 out of those 22 people know where to find treatment. And 18 of those same 22 people, they know someone or was personally affected by substance abuse. So, according to the mental health website, substance abuse affects an estimated amount of 65 million Americans. That's the entire population of France at this current time. That's how many people who need this. I'm here before you today because there was only one person in this room who knew about Sobriety Court. The one thing that actually saved my life. The one thing that actually gave me some dignity and taught me how to live after addiction. So Sobriety Court, it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Unfortunately, it has the word court in it. It's only available for people who have repeated offenses in drug or alcohol charges. In my survey, I asked many people, how would that make you feel to know that the best treatment out there is only available to those who've committed crimes, repeated crimes? This is left for the people like myself at 19 years old. I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know where I was going, but I thankfully was in front of a judge who wanted to help me, and they spent tons of their own personal time, money, and energy to make a program like this available. These are just more of what people have said here. And this is My life and my mother's life is attributed to the success that Sobriety Court has offered. My mother and I both went to Brighton. My mother and I both went to Sacred Heart. Both my mom and I ended up in drug court. Me and my mother today are still alive. And I am unfortunate to say that my brother, my father, they did not get seated in front of a judge who wanted to help them. My brother and my father ultimately died by them not having enough access to these types of treatment. And sobriety court and rehab are very different. It is not like you go into a rehab, you attend there for 10, 30, 90 days, they feed you a bunch of information, they tell you to attend meetings, to obtain a sponsor, they say, you know, get clean, that's it. That's what rehabs do, they help you get clean and detox. Meanwhile, sobriety court, I'd like to read this to you. According to the Michigan Drug Court website, this is for the one in this state that currently is represented right now. These courts are especially designed to reduce re-entry and substance abuse among non-violent substance abusing offenders and increase the offender's likelihood of successful habilitation through early, continuous, and intense judicial supervised treatment. There's mandatory periodic drug testing, and there's a lot of sanctions. If you lose your driver's license, they'll give you step-by-step and help you get your driver's license back. Of course, it's not the same. You have to get it interlocked. You're going to have to do a lot of things to get what you lost back, but they show you and teach you how. Meanwhile, drug treatment courts treat addiction like a complex disease like it is. It doesn't just feed you information and send you upon your way. They sit with you for 2 years' time. Drug treatment courts, they sustain therapeutic interventions. They give the participant enough time to provide enough abstinence for their brain to come back to normal, which does happen. There is life after addiction. It's rigorous, it's demanding, but most importantly, it's very effective. I am a living example of it. Meanwhile, I want to go through this because no one in a million years would have thought that I could have done this, but I did. This letter serves as a recognition of your accomplishments in the 33rd District Court Sobriety Court. And since you were admitted, you had, and let me tell you, the judge would come in front of you and read this and shake your hand and give you a movie card pass as you went through each phase. They would reward you for learning how to be a person again, how to live without drugs, how to live without the alcohol. Meanwhile, I attended 38 probation visit appointments. I want to point out I didn't even have a vehicle. I lived an hour away from this court. Do you think I made an excuse? No. I attended each and every single one. I never missed one. I paid $1,400 in fines. I had 188 negative chemical ETG tests that I had to take sporadically and randomly, and I wouldn't know until 5 a.m. of the day. I attended 221 Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I attended 60 hours of inpatient substance abuse treatment. That was to attempt to get housing. Basically wasted time at a rehab. I had 46 status review hearings. This is where the judge would literally sit with you and ask you, how has your week been? What have you accomplished? How are you feeling? Do you feel anything? How's your sponsorship going? He would talk to you like an actual human being and follow you through this 2-year process. So meanwhile, this is the one that always got me. 90 days completed on the SoberLink alcohol tether. That thing was a joy. I had to carry it around and blow into it 5 times a day for 90 days. And I didn't even have the alcohol charge, but let me tell you, it's very smart to do that for everyone because we're addicts. Meanwhile, I had 120 hours of community service. I enrolled in college. It was important to them and it was a requirement for you to actually better your life. They required you to get a job. They required you to get a sponsor. They required you to further your life, and they helped you do that. I also had to attend therapy. And meanwhile, when I left this program, this 3 days of ARMS, I actually had skill building and social experience with people who I didn't know because I'm a very awkward, timid person, which is hard to think about now. But I did all of these things. And at that time, I had 707 days of documented sobriety. Now, this is what I received when I left this program. I also was forced to give a speech to all of the people who were currently in this program. All of those who were sitting by my side, going through the very same thing that I was. And this preventable demise can absolutely be changed if you'd be willing to help me. If you could just take 30 seconds to click on and type this into your phone, I'd be willing to share it to all of your emails through this discussion we have at the program here at school, if you'd like. But I say all this to say, my father and my brother were not as fortunate to be seated in front of a judge who took their time to care about people in their lives. And the rehabs that they were admitted to did not utilize these effective strategies. And both of them ultimately died from substance abuse at way too early of ages. My brother was 25 and my dad was 45. If the Sobriety Court structure was actually utilized in treatment facilities that they had been admitted to, I firmly believe that they'd be alive today. Me and my mother are very solid examples among all of the other graduates across the state. If you're wondering how you can help, you don't have to devote your life to this like I have. You don't need to spend a bunch of money. You don't need to even go and tell anyone about it, but I hope you do. All I'm asking is that you take 30 seconds to sign my petition. Thank you.